am. I'm hands free. I promise.
Oh, perfect.
Groovy.
I mean, I'm not driving hands free. I'm driving with my hands.
Look.
I've got a Tesla.
I'm testing the self-driving with the Acura. I think it works.
Oh God. Oh, hi friends, I missed you.
Missed you guys.
Oh. How was your trip to Texas?
It was so good. Good to see everybody. Well, not everybody, but most of my family.
Nice.
Yeah. Drink lots of alcohol. Yeah.
Yay.
You kind of need it with your position, right? Like
Yeah.
I think you were interviewing someone like as I was leaving around 4, and as you're interviewing them or whoever you're talking to, you said something like it's a high stress position that's very fast paced. And like you said it repeatedly, and I was like who is she talking to?
I was actually talking to Dennis, who's the staff hog for Presby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because he was asking about a TAM position. But I guess
You're trying to save them.
I mean, yeah, well, I don't know. I just know I wouldn't, but I like Felix enjoys it and he's really good at it.
True.
Yeah, that's right. It's a position that requires a certain personality, I think. For certain personalities, I think there's a few types that succeed.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
But for my personality, it just would not work. Like I wouldn't be able to. I don't even. If I can avoid talking to the client in any capacity, like I will.
Really? Oh.
I mean, obviously, that's just part of the job. So, like, I have no problem doing it. I have to do it in a lot of cases, but
yeah.
But it's also true for just like talking on the phone in general. I'm not a person who likes talking on the phone. So if I can avoid it in any way, so like if some vendor, or even if it's like in my personal life, if I have to get in contact with support in any way and they have a chat feature, I'm gonna use the chat.
Really?
I feel that. There's some people I enjoy talking on the phone with, but most of the time I avoid it.
Right. Yeah, sure. There's like, I mean, there would be certain people, but it's like, I don't know why I did it like that. I'm like very small.
Oh, okay.
A small number.
I was like, what are we doing?
I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, he was just asking like, he's like, I don't really know what they do.
Okay.
He was just trying to like, he's like, how is it like stress level wise, and like
how is it stress level wise?
Like how micromanaging
a lot of it.
And I was like, well, I don't think you would necessarily be micromanaged. And I asked him, I was like, well, how are what would you say those levels are, what you're doing currently? And I knew they would be like really low, like it's low stress for him. He's like, that's kind of the thing about being a staff hog is, for the most part, you have to be pretty independent and like good at making your own schedule, because especially if you're one who is on site 5 days a week, 40 hours a week for the client, which means that you don't ever come in to see everybody else. You only go to that client. So while you work for Novatech, it kind of feels like you work for the client, because
you're like an island.
Yeah, you're a little bit of an island. So you're not like, you're not seeing a bunch of coworkers all the time, and you don't necessarily have your boss sort of just like checking up with you all the time. So you have to be very independent. So there isn't like, a lot of opportunities for it to be somebody micromanaging you, unless like the client is, and sometimes that can be possible.
Okay.
So it's always like, well, it's a little bit different in that sense, though. I don't necessarily think you would be micromanaged, but also like you would have clients checking on things, and probably going to hear about hear from them most of the time when they're like annoyed by something or angry about something, or you know, like it can be high stress and fast pace, because I think every TAM has like 30 clients, give or take. Not all of those are giant clients, but you know. So.
Gotcha.
Well, he was asking, and I was like, but I'm also probably not the best person. I don't know I don't know everything that they do.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Lawrence seems pretty relaxed. I don't
Yeah, he's also just a very like pretty chill guy in general. Anyway, so.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Update: lemon Starburst candy cane is delicious. It's so good.
I forgot Starburst candy canes.
Yeah, Greg got a pack of them, and I had a green apple one, and it was also delicious. And now I'm having the lemon one, and it's so good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Excellent.
What are the lemon candies that Dumbledore likes? I think he was just eating like regular lemon drops.
I feel like it was just lemon drops. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, because it was kind of seen as weird because it was Muggle candy. It does candy that doesn't do dangerous shit to you.
Right. But also, like, that's very Dumbledore to me, to be like, for him to just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna eat Muggle candy.
I went to the Muggle candy shop today and found out what the stupid little Muggles eat. So trite.
So, J.K. Rowling envisioned Harry Potter in 1990. The first book didn't come out until 97. And also, she apparently, it wasn't like she was watching something or reading something. It's just like these ideas started flowing into her head while she's on a train ride.
Mhm.
And what's fascinating to me is she doesn't start writing the story like almost every other author. They start writing the story. Instead, she just starts writing about the world and writing about the characters. And she has this huge,
Sort of formed out of that.
yeah. And then
Around. Ooh.
That's just wild to me because who does that remind you of? Like, what author does that remind you of?
Where they like create a world first and then a story comes out.
Yeah. Doesn't that feel like Tolkien?
It does.
Yeah, because he started with the language that like he fell in love with. And, like that's what he built it out with, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And when I heard that, I thought to myself, are some of the best series, do they come from authors that like kind of create the world first, and then once they fully flesh that out, then create a series based around that world that they already created?
Maybe so. I kind of feel like I mean, I don't know. I'm not a writer at all, and I would never claim to even be one. But I kind of feel like, at least for how my brain works, it makes more sense, or like it would be easier to just sort of envision this world, see the big picture first.
Yeah.
And then like start to look at like closer and closer details, and then like, oh, this, I can see a story coming out of this. Oh, I can see like this one character who goes through these adventures and this happens and that happens. Yeah. To me, it makes more sense to start that way.
Yeah.
And like it would be easier, and like that something fuller and better would come out of it that way.
I agree. I feel like that's probably the way to go. But practically nobody does that. They just start writing the story.
They start writing a story based on like a character that comes to mind, and then they sort of like create and make up everything around that. To me, that seems so much harder.
Yeah, I agree. It makes sense to like get some type of framework or to like get excited, especially for fantasy. Like it may be different if it's like more grounded in like the modern world, so it's easier to like fill in the edges of your story, so you can just kind of like go at it. But when it comes to something that's entirely new, I would try to like think of that's how I do D&D. I try to think of the framework.
Mhm.
Right. Like, it almost feels like building a house where you're like, here, I have my bed here, so I'm just going to start
Yeah.
slowly my
Yep.
house around my bed. Like, that doesn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
make
Like, here's this perfect dining room I designed, and now I make house from it. Like,
Yeah.
It just seems so much harder. I don't know.
That's a good analogy because it's like she kind of had like this whole house in mind, and then you look at, Harry's story, and maybe that's just like a one bedroom in the house. But there's all these other things like happening around it. Yeah, it just I'd really like to dive into that at some point and see, and then like Thomas, the Dune books, doesn't it feel like with the Dune books, like he did something similar where he created the world first and then kind of,
it does feel that way.
right?
He must have, because
I, I
the
think so.
concepts as they're introduced are it's almost like the setting is the main character of the book, and I think that's on purpose. That's why it's called Dune. It's about like that world and how it's changing the people that are on it. um
Oh.
but
Is that why it's called Dune? Is that really why it's called Dune?
yeah, they refer to Arrakis as Dune, like the doomed planet, because it's all desert.
Ah,
um but yeah, like, because all the things that the characters do, like when they get on, are super based in like the culture and what's going on that planet. So for that to have mattered to the story, he would have had to design the history of the planet. So yeah, that makes sense that he like built the world before he like built the story that happened in it.
yeah. Maybe some of the most beloved series and best series are where the author just thought of the whole world and the whole framework and then started writing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
A lot of them seem like they have. Like, that's how they did start.
Yeah.
But
I think they can go too far down the rabbit hole with that though. Like the Malazan book
yeah,
series, how you read the first book and you were like, what the fuck just happened? Like it wasn't enjoyable and you didn't feel like you understood anything because you didn't. Um
Yes. Yes.
and when I reread it, and I remember thinking like, man, how'd I get through this the first time? Like I know what's up because I finished the series, but and I remember the first time I read it, I was like, what? I mean, that was interesting, but like I'm still really confused, and I just kept at it because I'm kind of relentless. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I think there's definitely like a happy balance, and I think the Harry Potter world like lends itself really well to that.
Hmm.
Because she didn't get lost in the sauce. It's about the characters.
Yeah.
Almost to like to the reader's anguish, because I want more of the world. Like I want to see something that like I was a
yeah,
little disappointed in the series was, but it makes sense because it's about, it's a coming of age story.
Hmm.
Was like complex magic and like adult magic and what that looks like.
Mm.
And like cool enchantments and stuff. You never really get into like how that works.
Hmm.
But that's still cool though, because if you answer all the questions, then it's no longer a mystery and it kind of becomes old. So like you have to leave your readers wanting more, which I think she certainly did.
Mm. Interesting.
yeah.
Hmm. I I don't know what she went on to write, but I think she went on to write mysteries after she was done with Harry Potter.
Yeah, she's got like a mystery series, but then she also has another pet name, Robert Galbraith.
Oh.
Is also
That's it.
her.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember if she's only written one or like maybe two books under that name.
Hmm.
Um, but I've only read one if there's more than one. Uh,
Oh.
I've
that's
never
called,
read any of other stuff. I'd really like to.
actually, I take it back. The mystery series, I believe, is also Robert Galbraith.
Oh.
Called something like strike something. Really
Huh.
says it. I can't remember. Anyway.
What did
But I read the first book that she released as Robert Galbraith, which was also like the first book she wrote and that was published like after Harry Potter, I believe.
Mhm.
Is that the
And-
Casual Vacancy?
Yeah, Casual Vacancy. I
Cormoran
actually put
Strike?
I only read it for the first time last year. I've had the book forever, and I just got around to reading it like last year, maybe a couple years ago. And I didn't like it. And it's definitely not because I went in expecting it to be anything like Harry Potter. Like I knew it wasn't. Because you read the synopsis and you're like, oh, this is totally different. You can't go in thinking it's gonna be anything even remotely similar. But it took me a long time to read through it because I was just like, I just don't care about any of these people. And then also, then it just like the end of it, I was just so depressed.
Ah,
I actually didn't like it. I wouldn't
Huh.
recommend it, but also if you're curious, I mean, you might as well go ahead and read it. But I kind of vaguely remember not long after, it was published, the reviews for it being just kind of like meh. But I do like her mystery novels. Those are good.
Interesting. Yeah,
the
I wonder
Casual
what.
Vacancy received mixed reviews, says Wikipedia.
That's not surprising. I didn't like it. There's not
Wow.
many books come out saying like I did not like this book. I can usually find something to like about something that I read.
Well, it sold very well.
I'm sure it did. But he did. Yeah, I'm sure it sold great. They're just like, yes, the first thing after Harry Potter. Like, at least I want to read it.
I'd like to read that mystery series she wrote as Robert Galbraith. I didn't realize that she had written so much. She's written 7 books in it since 2013.
Right. I haven't read all of them, but what I've read, I have very much enjoyed. And on HBO, there is also a series for it too. Like they made it into a series,
Oh, cool.
Huh.
Love that.
which is also done very well too.
This is so good. Where are you, Jeremy, in this in Harry Potter?
Chapter 10 of the 3rd book.
Nice.
The 3rd book's my favorite so far.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah, I love how you see that character development with him in the 3rd book, and like this aunt comes to visit the Dursleys and she's just as big of a bitch as they are. And like
Yes, she is. Fuck Petunia.
God.
and in the first 2 books, when Harry's, kind of stuck with them basically in like a little prison, he he's so scared to, kind of talk back and do anything. And really, whenever he kind of fights back, it's almost like it's by accident when he frees the snake at the zoo.
Yeah.
He didn't really mean to do that. It wasn't like willful. But then you get to the 3rd book and he starts to like talk back and he starts to stand up for himself. And you see that evolution of the character where like, she starts talking about how his parents died and she's like assuming that they were driving drunk, and then they got into the car accident. And I the 3rd book is my favorite because he starts to stand up for himself more and starts to push back against like the people that are kind of insulting him and trying to hold him back. And I like that so much because you can see that evolution. And he doesn't necessarily try to like inflate the ant so that she blows up by like a balloon, but like it happens anyway. And then you can envision in your mind he like storms out and he's dragging this giant trunk behind him full of spell books, and he's got his owl with him, and he's off into the night, and he feels good about leaving, but then quickly realizes like, oh no, what have I done? All I have is like wizard money. What am I going to do with that? And like,
Yeah, and I'm not supposed to use magic, so like,
yeah, and like I might get in trouble, and you feel that tension. Like you feel it, like what is he going to do, and he concocts this plan, I think, of like throwing on his cloak of invisibility and riding like his Nimbus 2000 to Hogwarts or something like that. And then accidentally summons I think it's called the night bus.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay, let me hop on. And then I think he gives him like a fake name, like he's like, oh yeah, I'm
I think he
Ron.
says Neville. I think he tells him that his name's
Yeah, I
Neville.
think I
Yeah,
think it's Neville. Yeah,
poor
is
Neville.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I really really enjoyed it because it's the characters didn't feel static. It was like you could feel them evolving and start to become more adult, and
Yeah.
like it felt like the stakes were a lot higher. Like it felt like he's on his own, and like it didn't feel like a book for children anymore. It started to feel like it was definitely going more like instead of like around a reading age of like 9 to 10 years old, maybe more like 14 or 15, more like a Hunger Games style book.
I never thought of
Yeah.
it from that perspective, that like that transition was powerful by like, all right, you made an adult ass decision, now go deal with it. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, you were in a bad situation, you stood up for yourself and then you left, but like you're still at the mercy of that like
T-
did it
Thomas like
freeze.
yeah, Thomas, you
Yeah.
froze.
I I broke the teams. But I was saying there's a lot of heaviness in that when I was a kid, I
Yeah.
was, just kind of went along with it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And as an adult, I'm like, dang, like that's where it happens.
Hmm.
It's identifiable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I also love the amount of planning that went into it. Like I think in the first book, when he goes to the zoo, he can understand the snake, and the snake says something along the lines of like, "I've never been to Brazil," and he understands that. And then I don't think you quite like the reader doesn't understand why he understands the snake until maybe book 2 or 3 when you
Yeah, it's
realize
book two.
yeah, like a parcel tongue. And you're like, oh, okay, that's why he could understand the snake back in book 1. And you start making those connections, and you're just like, wow, this is so well laid out. And just like, it's so cool how she just had all these little, like, plot lines and threads running. I loved that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because I was gonna ask, I was like, how do you feel about, him being a parcel tongue and like how that was revealed and how it's like a big ass deal in the wizard
Yeah.
community because
Yeah.
almost nobody is. There's like, a handful of people throughout history who like can speak to snakes.
Hmm.
Right. And it's not something you can learn either. Like, I think
Yeah,
it's
Oh,
you
really?
right.
have it or you don't. Yeah.
You either have, yeah.
Oh. Huh. Interesting.
I wonder if there's a list of people who can speak parcel tongue. For some reason, something in my brain's telling me that Dumbledore can, but I don't know if that's true.
I don't, I don't think he can. I want to
Hmm.
say no.
Hmm.
says that J.K. Rowling's quoted that like her inspiration for Parseltongue was the concept of like a hair lip.
Really?
The what? Huh.
People who speak Parseltongue. Let's see what bullshit I get from this. Yeah, Albus Dumbledore can. He's on the list.
Oh, he can. Oh, really?
Oh, he can
Okay.
understand it, but he cannot speak it.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
No,
Huh.
that I didn't know that was even a thing. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
That you could have the ability to understand but not speak. But that's also a real thing for this regular language. Real language.
when Harry speaks Parseltongue, it's almost like he goes into a trance, like he's not even sure like how he's doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
True, because in fact, if he
yeah.
if he tries to sit there and think about Parseltongue and
Mhm.
speak, he can't do it.
Hmm.
Only it's like a like almost like a triggered thing for him,
Yeah.
and it is kind of it's weird.
Huh. And the reaction of the people around him, they're like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Speaking in
The sec-
tongue.
yeah. Maybe it is like a reference to that. That would be interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Going down a Parseltongue hole. I know that sounds weird.
Down a Parseltongue hole.
Phrasing.
Yeah, it's very few people, and it's interesting because no, Bathilda Bagshot didn't do it because okay.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a super short list of people who can speak it.
Oh, really? So it's
Yeah.
not like every. Okay. Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's something that's like passed down generationally either. I think it's just like if you have it, you're not necessarily guaranteed that your children will have it.
Interesting. It when I was reading through, especially the ending of the second book, the fact that she also writes mysteries made a lot of sense to me because it felt like she was laying all the clues in the second book, like, you know, um, Moaning Myrtle sees the reflection of the basilisk, and that's how she dies because she sees it in the reflection of the water. And then there's the boy with the camera, and he also sees it. And
I love
um,
Colin.
it I thought that was cool how she left all those little clues for you to kind of figure out, like it was a mystery. So the fact that she goes on to write mysteries made a lot of sense to me.
I like that it's really grounded too, because like the basilisk is a like consistent like fantasy creature that like has
Mhm.
roots in medieval like bestiaries and stuff.
Mm.
But it's never really discussed as far as I remember, and I have done a lot of research on basilisks because they're like an enemy in D&D that's really strong. Like it's a big ass
Oh.
deal if you fight a basilisk because it can just kill you. It can just turn. It just kills you.
Oh. Yeah.
Um. Uh. And yeah, like it's never really discussed like what a reflection does. And I love that she like does that twist on it. It's my favorite thing about
Hmm.
fantasy tropes is like
I
doing it a little
know. I
different.
know. Yeah. Yeah. That was really cool.
I
How,
wonder if that's where that love kind of began in me, was like reading that and being like, oh, like what an interesting take on this like creature that
Mhm.
a lot of people have familiarity with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a lot of the characters that get, I guess the word is like petrified by it, they didn't necessarily see it directly. Like you just saw it through a camera, or you see it in the reflection of this puddle, or whatever. So I thought that was like a really cool little twist that she added. And then the ending where Harry's supposed to fight it, and then he gets like the sorting hat and like a help from the Phoenix, and he's just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Like, how am I supposed to defeat this thing?
Yeah.
So that was cool.
I
And the
think
Phoenix
also
like flies into the room and just pecks one of his eyes out, and you're like,
Yep.
yes, go Phoenix.
Yeah. Okay. And what the heck is up with him just pulling like this, what is it, like the sword of Gryffindor out of the sorting hat? So like the sorting
Mhm.
hat just like what, like gives you whatever you need at that time and just magically provides, or what, how does that work?
I think what it actually is, if I remember correctly, I don't think it's that the sorting hat gives you something. I think it's that the sword of Gryffindor presents itself to you if you're worthy.
Hmm.
Only to say if you're
Oh.
worthy and who is in need of it. And so
Huh.
he just happened to pull it out of the sorting hat.
Oh. Okay. That makes more sense. Because I was like, what are the powers of this sorting hat? Could you just like pull a sandwich out? Like what is this?
You're really in need the sandwich of Gryffindor.
It's really moldy though.
This fucking sandwich. It's so dumb. I love it.
Is is it too cold to do the cemetery scavenger hunt now?
It's
I don't
about
know.
to be super cold. Well, the rest of
Actually,
January is
great.
pretty busy for Justin and
Yeah.
I,
Weekend
as
is
far as weekends go.
Because I was thinking about that, like I felt like all of us got really busy, and so we
yeah.
like put it off.
Just
But then
did.
yeah, because I was like, should we do it now? And I was like, I think it might be too cold at this point, and I don't want people out there like freezing.
And also, like Justin and I got sick for like all of December until Christmas. So that started
Yeah.
like the first week of December and just like kept going.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Yeah.
getting sick. Like
Yeah, it
so
was
many.
just terrible. It was not fun.
Oh, I feel so bad. Also, I
You
don't
haven't
want.
gotten it? Don't get it. It's
No, I
bullshit.
don't.
Don't do it.
I've been fine, but I definitely don't want it.
Yeah, Justin and I have committed to getting like all of our flu shots and like RSV shots next year because we're like, this is like 3 years in a row where we've gotten sick during the winter, and we're like, fuck that shit. We're not doing it again. We're gonna try everything we can.
Yeah.
What if we pivot and do a role playing game in the Harry Potter world in February?
That sounds like
That sounds like a ton of fun.
yeah.
And then we
I
want
would love to make a character in Harry Potter world.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I would love to do the scavenger hunt though. So maybe
Oh,
when
we
it's
will.
warmer.
Oh, we will. I paid $50 for it. It's getting used.
Well, you have the material. It's not like they're gonna bulldoze some, tombstones.
Oakland
So
Park. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna
Okay.
change. They're
Yeah.
there. They're there for good.
they're
I
not.
wonder
They're
if
not
new
going anywhere.
people are being interned there. Is that a thing?
Yeah,
Hmm?
you can still be buried there.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they still have open plots, but I think it's pretty well planned out though.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
I don't think you can go buy a new plot, but they
Yeah.
still like. So I guess technically don't have open plots like in the sense that they can be bought, but they have plots that where nobody is buried yet.
Hmm. Right on.
I wonder if I'll be buried or cremated. I suppose that depends on if I purchase a plot or not.
I can help you with that.
Well, but you can purchase a plot and still be cremated though.
That's true. The reason I think about it is in the Harry Dresden series,
Yeah.
a character, a vampire who's like trying to be a bitch at like one of the like big vampire balls that he gets invited to to try to like one up him in front of everybody, she presents him with a gift, and it's a headstone with like a golden or a silver pentagram in it. And she's like, I got you a burial spot and a headstone at the whatever famous cemetery it is in Chicago. And I just always found that like really clever. I was like, ah, what a bitch move. She bought him his grave, but like she's gonna put him in it. And it's cool because he dies in one of the books and like spends a whole book as a ghost. It's really interesting
Really?
because like, yeah, the
That's
series is
awesome.
wild. It's so fun. And the place where he's safe, like from the power of the dawn, which like washes away magic and spirits, is inside of his grave. So like when it's daytime, he just goes and sits in his grave.
I didn't get to that book, but that's awesome.
Yeah, it's way down the line. It's like book 9 or 10.
I still have distinct memories from, I want to say like book 4 or 5, and he starts walking up these like invisible stairs that go up into the sky.
Which book is that? I can't
Did I
remember.
totally make that up?
No, I think that's like when the fairies are fighting.
Yes, yeah, that
Yeah.
was it. That was the book. Yeah. Christy would probably really like that series, I think.
It's really fun. It has
Yeah.
like almost like an adult Harry Potter feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wizard in Chicago modern day, and like all fantasy things are real. But like still secret. But he's like a wizard in the phone books. He's like a practicing wizard. Like people come to him to like find things. And a
But
lot of people have issues with this character, but I think he's great.
is he like, did they actually know he's a wizard? Or he's just like, oh, I'm a wizard. You know what I mean?
He's kind of being a jerk to
Yeah.
the like supernatural community by like
Mhm.
posting that and being like
Mhm.
in the like local like white pages or yellow pages. I can't remember which one his businesses. Uh so like people don't take him seriously unless they've got some type of like supernatural thing that happened to them, and then like if they search for it, like he's like the
Yeah.
only option. So you know, then they find out he's not a quack kind of deal.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of,
I would
if
probably.
you, oh, I was just gonna say, like, if you like Supernatural or you like Buffy, where it's kind of like that urban fantasy, that mixing of like kind of like gritty realism of the city, plus it meets the supernatural, then that's, I would say like that's the series to go for.
Yeah, I definitely would.
Yeah.
Mm.
Also,
love
I
that.
love modern day like wizards who carry guns. Like that's a thing that he does. Like as he starts facing stronger things, as he packs iron because like he's fucking tired of dealing with things that are faster than him. So like he just
Mhm.
shoots them. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to just use a gun.
I really appreciate that mindset that like, yeah, I'm a wizard, but also this gun. Like, so where are you in Prisoner of Azkaban? What's happening?
Oh, you're talking to Christy or me?
Me or-
You
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm not there.
yeah, I'm still at the end of book 1. I gotta get back on
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, me too.
We're yeah, end of book 1.
Mm-mm.
Hmm. Well, you guys are making pretty good time though. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
I've only sat down to read it like 3 times, and like you know, whenever I sit down to read it, I'll read like 100 pages. But
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. What's happening now? Let me think, because I haven't picked it up in about 5 days. So that hang on. Let me think. Oh, oh, he's like coveting. He's like looking at this broom called the Firebolt, and it lets you go like super fast,
Yeah.
but he doesn't want to blow a bunch of money on it. And I'm also not entirely clear on how much money he actually has, because I thought in the first book he like withdrew all of it, but now that I'm in the third book, I don't think that's true. And but
No,
he
he
kind of
withdrew
like
a bag, like a bag of the
yeah,
like pile of
yeah.
gold that he had.
But I like the concept of how like he got left like a small fortune from his parents, but he still has to be kind of judicious with how he spends it. And then the Weasleys won some sort of lottery from like the Ministry of Magic, so they got to go to Egypt, and then
Oh
they're
yeah.
like exploring like these pyramids, and like she even kind of fit like the concept of like the pyramids and the Egyptians into the whole mythos of the world. And she was like, oh, these wizards had cursed these pyramids, so like people that went in and tried to rob the tombs, they got messed up by that. And I was just like, that's so cool how she was just kind of like interweaving all those different geographic locations and ideas into her own world.
And it's so like casually done too. Like it's just kind of
Yeah,
something you hear about and it's like, oh,
yes,
interesting. But also I want a
yeah,
book about it. Like
yeah. Or she'll refer to some like dragon, like a side character that's like studying dragons in like Romania or something. So it really does feel like she she thought of like the whole world with this wizard concept, which I enjoyed. And then what else is happening right now? Oh, okay. So then I think as he's riding the night bus, they start talking about Sirius Black and how he escaped from Azkaban, and he killed 13 Muggles in an explosion. No, he like cursed them. Did he curse them?
it was like a cursed explosion. Like I think a lot of the attacking magics are considered curses.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. But
um
yeah.
I don't think he did it. I don't think he did it. I think he's innocent. I feel like he's a good guy. And
Have you met him?
then oh yeah, yeah. And then Dementor comes on the train,
Ah.
and Harry passes out, and they get set up as like these sentries all over Hogwarts. And I guess they're supposed to be on the lookout for Sirius Black, like in case he tries to contact Harry. Or is that why they're there, like on campus?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to, like, in case he goes to Hogwarts to come after Harry,
Mm, okay.
because, well, one, he broke out, and obviously they're on the lookout for him, but they
Yeah.
suspect that he's going to go to Hogwarts to like kill Harry as well,
Okay.
basically. Which then also just in general endangers like anybody at Hogwarts too, potentially. So
Yeah, they
Uh,
I think they assumed that like because he's one of Lord Voldemort's followers that like the first thing he'll do is try to avenge him, which is the
mm,
like idea, if I remember correctly.
okay.
right.
I still don't think he's bad though, because he let Hagrid borrow his motorcycle, so how could he be bad?
That's a good ass point. And also good job for remembering that because I remember when I read Prisoner of Azkaban, I did not remember that because I remember when I reread it, I was like, oh yeah, that's funny.
I
I
also did.
remember it because it stood out in my mind. It was like, oh, I borrowed this motorcycle from Sirius Black, and I was like, wizards drive motorcycles? I was like, heck yeah.
A prison breaking bad wizards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and I'm very curious by the time I hit the fourth book obviously like there's a pattern where at the beginning of the book he's always stuck with the Dursleys and then he has to escape in some way or fashion. So I'm like, okay, in book 4, is he once again somehow going to be living with the Dursleys and have to escape? Because he kind of, I feel like that was kind of final with book 3. So I'm wondering if like by the time book 4 starts, like maybe he starts off in Hogwarts instead of with the Dursleys. Almost like that was like some sort of defining moment where he's just like, screw you guys.
It's one of my favorite things is seeing how the beginning of each book or school year starts, because you kind of like there's certain things that you know and expect, but also you're like watching the like angst build up between Harry and his family, like, year after year after year. So it's always interesting to like see how that goes and what's changed and how he's changed and like relation to them. So
interesting.
I'm trying to remember. I think I know. Sorry. I think I know how.
Oh.
I think I remember how 4 starts. And then, okay. Anyway, I won't say anything.
I feel like it starts at the Dursleys' house, but because it's been following that pattern, which I like. I think it's really cool. Book 4 originally featured like a nemesis for Hermione. It was like a female that was supposed to annoy her, but then that character got wiped from the books.
Oh yeah?
Yep. Yeah. It was supposed to be like another female like know-it-all wizard that would kind of like annoy her and get better grades.
Freaking Ravenclaws.
Right.
So, oh gosh, I just remembered a certain character who's in book 4. She's the devil. But not as much of a devil as the character they introduced in book 5.
Really?
Christy goes,
yeah.
She's so bad.
Just wait.
Okay.
She's so bad.
Yeah.
People think she's worse than Voldemort.
Yeah.
Wait, is the right one? Am I
Yeah.
the right one?
Yeah, that's her. You're thinking of the right one. 100%.
Worse than Voldemort?
For some reason, I always think that's book 6, but it's not. It is.
Yeah, she's despicable.
Yeah. And I would. When we get there, we can discuss why she's like worse than Voldemort, even though Voldemort is like the villain.
Right.
And also, like, the casting for the movies, like, they could not have chosen a better person for that role. Like, she did such a good job with that character. And this is a movie with tons of roles on it. Like, Alan Rickman is like one of my favorite people ever. Maggie Smith, like, I love her so much. I can't remember his name, but the guy that plays Lupin, who you'll get to like hang out with a bunch soon.
They did they introduced him. It's like a professor. It's like Professor something Lupin, and I was like, oh, he's definitely a werewolf. Obvious. They have
good catch there, sir.
They have introduced him, and he kind of, I think he pushes back a little bit against Snape, who's still acting like a bitch.
Snape acts like a bitch the whole time. I love it.
Oh, does he really? He never like starts easing up on everyone?
Spoiler alert. Snape acts like a bitch the whole time.
Are you serious?
One of the best things about the series.
What? Oh my god. Okay, I didn't realize that.
If you're waiting for him to warm up, you will die.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to like kind of warm up to Harry Potter and stop acting like a douche. Apparently, like he kind of favors like his own house a little bit. Oh, and then freaking Malfoy. Oh my god. Malfoy, you rich little bastard. He's like, oh, Oh, my arm got hurt by Hagrid's creature. I need Ron to cut up my roots, Mr. Snape. Oh, can you help me? And can Harry mix up my potions for? I'm like, oh, freaking Malfoy, I'm gonna kill
It's
you.
hilarious because it's just as whiny in the movie too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I love that, like,
jeez.
it's Snape knows he's full of shit, but he's like, I hate Gryffindor so fucking much. Yeah, I'll go with this. Like,
Oh man, she does such a good job of just the characters that she wants you to hate, you hate. Like if she wants you to hate a character, you are gonna just with a passion. The
Yeah.
Dursleys, I hate the Dursleys. I hate Malfoy. I just he was trying to get Hagrid kicked out of school. Like he just becomes a teacher for the first time. He's trying to do his thing. He loves animals. He loves dragons. He's trying to take care of them. And then freaking Malfoy immediately is trying to get Hagrid kicked out as a professor. I'm just like, really? He's like, I'm gonna run and tell my dad. I'm like, I think that's right around the area. Like that's right around the part that I'm at. I think.
Malfoy's such a little shit.
Oh. Oof.
If you think you hate any of those characters now, just wait till you get to book 5.
Oh my gosh.
Fun.
Are we talking like the big fight at the end of the series, like in book 7? Or
No, I mean like in book 5 when you get introduced.
Oh, okay.
Because you're like the whole time there are characters. Oh, I hate this character. I hate Malfoy because he's so whiny and he's a bitch and whatever.
Yeah.
And you think you hate him, and then you reach book 5 and you're like, this one's so much worse.
It's so much worse.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So it's like a character that gets introduced in book 5 and then you just hate the character.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
But so badly.
One of the most memorable characters, though. Like the series would not be the same without that character.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
It's definitely not because she like. You can absolutely tell she didn't write her with any redeeming qualities. There was no like. She definitely wasn't supposed to be one of those characters that was like, you hate her, but also like, they have this quality about them, like, nope. It's just straight loathe.
Yeah, any positive quality is like inferred at the edges and like not a focus of the character. It's so well done.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Guys, so I'm not to pivot, but I'm probably going to be leaving soon because I want to play Alan Wake and I have to talk to you about it. It's so scary. It's so fucking good. I've never really played a lot of horror games. One of my favorite games is called Prey, and it's a horror game. But like a lot of the classic ones, like Silent Hill and Resident Evil, I never played because I didn't have PlayStation. As an Xbox kid, so I never played those like PlayStation classics. But it's so freaky. So I've been playing it with headphones the whole time. And there's there's so many points where you think something's about to happen. So you see shadow wolves and they're freaky. So they stay at the very edge of your like lighted area. And they circle that and then they'll face you and they'll run at you and you have to dodge. Because like if you just shoot them, like you're not going to stagger them. They're too strong. So you have to take their charge and you have to dodge. So you do a little thing, like a little ritual to get an item, and it causes the world to change a little bit. And it creates the thing, you find the thing that changes, and there's all these like huge black paw prints on the ground that lead into this house. And you just search this house, so you know its layout. So I'm like, oh shit, there's one of those shadow wolves in there, and I know it's going to jump at me, and I know it's going to get me. So I'm like, fuck. So I got my gun, I go in there, and I'm like, okay, let me look in the kitchen. It's not in the kitchen. Let me look in, it's not in the living room. And I look upstairs. And upstairs is a bedroom with like an open hallway and another bedroom. So I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm going to have to go upstairs and I'm going to have to look either left or right. And I know whichever way I look, it's going to be in the other one. So whatever. So I go up the stairs and I look to the left and I'm like, it's not there. Fuck. And I like look over to the right and it's all creepy sounds. It's so good. No wolf. There's no wolf. You're in these wolf prints and there's no wolf. The game just honey dicks you. Like, on the flip side, there's other moments where like you're just running about and it's scary, but like you kind of got used to it. Now you got a gun, it's okay. And I saw a healing item like back in the corner, and I was like, "I'll bet a healing item, boop 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 boop, healing item." And I pick it up and turn around, and there are shadow people immediately behind me and like hitting me, and there was nothing in the room. And it wasn't like an event. I didn't walk through a doorway or anything. I was just in a room and saw an item, and I went over and grabbed the item, and then turned around and got bitch slapped by a shadow person that then laughed and disappeared. Like, and it's not just one. The whole room's filled with them, and then they all just disappear. And I'm like, ugh. It's
Wow.
it's terrifying. It's so fun.
Terrifying. Has Justin tried to scare you while you're playing?
Justin got it a while back when it first came out, I think in November, and like he stayed up all night playing it. Like it came out on like a Friday, so we stayed up all night and playing it. So I wake up Saturday morning and he's like still out there playing it, and he's like, I've been so scared this whole night just alone in here. Like, you have to get this game.
Oh wow.
It's hilarious.
There's so many like incredible moments. So one I just did, I'm discovering these secrets and I like find this hidden basement that's super creepy. So I go down there and the creepy stuff is really creepy, but nothing happens. And as your character goes back upstairs, she hears like thumping and she's like, they're upstairs, crap. So I go upstairs to a little safe area and then go to exit out into this big warehouse space. And I'm like, all right, let me do this smart. So it's this big rectangular warehouse space, and I come out of a door here, and there's a little faux room, like cut out, like just ahead. So I'm like, I'm gonna be smart about this. So I put my back against the wall, and I'm walking around with my flashlight, my gun, with my back against the wall. And then I get to like the side room, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna follow this wall and come around the side to look into the open space of the warehouse, and then I can peek into that room behind me. So I'm doing that. They fucking knew that's how you would play it, because they laid it out on purpose. And a huge guy busts through the wall and grabs you and throws you. And I was like, what? That's so well done. Like, they created your expectations, subverted it many times, created a like logical fear in you to like think of the situation and approach it from a certain way, and then designed a like in-game instance and happening based on that, on your behavior. Like, like there's another way I could have gone. I didn't have to put my back to that wall. Like, it's so good. Dude, it's freaky, but it's so well done. It's so artful. Like, as you go through it, you're just going to be constantly impressed at what they did to make it scary and to make it exciting.
Yeah.
It's tough, though. It's not an easy game. Like, there's not a lot of combat, but the combat is tough. Story mode too, so you can like amp it down.
I'm doing story mode.
But it's impressive. Yeah, the scariness of the game, like you don't need the normal or the hard mode. Like, the game itself will get its points across and kind of like, yeah, it's just so impressive.
Nice.
That's all. That's what I had to share.
I have a closing statement. Chrissy is a great manager. Thank you for being a good manager to me.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
I try.
That was my only statement. I'm super glad that Chrissy is my manager again. So much more enjoyable now.
I want Chrissy to be my manager.
She can be. She can be your manager too. Join
I'm
the
not
help desk.
I'm not qualified.
Do it. Do it.
I would not pass the interview.
Could be a dispatch.
Honestly, having like a nice person that's like a good manager makes all the difference, because you can go from dreading work to being like, oh yeah, like this isn't that bad. Okay, like I know.
Makes me happy to hear. That's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that for sure.
yeah. It makes so much of a difference. You probably noticed my mood is very different at work now. So
It is very different. I have noticed.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to say that. All right. Everyone's probably hungry. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Love making choices.
Make the best choices.
A ton.